On today's episode of Driving Rants with Dad, gonna talk about a movie I saw the other day called The Gray Man on Netflix, starring Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, and Ana de Armas, amongst others. Let's just get down to it.
Welcome to the Way of the Dad podcast, where we fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness. If you like what you are hearing, please share the podcast and give it a review on the platform where you listen. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Way of the Dad podcast. It is I, Scott, otherwise known as the person who tries to keep this boat floating, I guess. So, it's been a little while since I've had an episode up, and I did make a post about that on the Facebook page. Life has kind of stepped in the way, been a lot going on. Big part of the reason why I'm doing this in the car as opposed to in the air quotes studio. Don't really have a studio per se. Do have a place where I have my setup at for recording. But I am indeed a quick little bit of housekeeping. I know I kind of posted this on the Facebook page, but for those of you who didn't see, I am working on a bit of a studio setting where I can record, possibly even planning on expanding to video. And then that would allow me to post content that works better on YouTube, Rumble, and, probably even post it on the Facebook page too, put the videos there. And then I can still go ahead and take, yank the audio feed out of that and throw it through the podcast like I have been. Kind of just basically the opposite of what I'm doing now. I record as a podcast, and then my podcasting host will transfer it into a static image video format, so it'll post it on YouTube for me, and then I have to manually do things after that. But so I'm thinking about doing that, but I've got some construction to take care of to get that going. I need to consider lighting, background, things like that. So plan to work on that. I don't know when I'm going to have it done. I'm hoping to have it done before winter time. So we'll see. But, so that's being that, and I'm going to try to be a little more consistent, although they may be more driving episodes because my time, my time in the evenings has been a bit pinched up. Me and Mrs. Way of the Dad are decided to go ahead and hire, not hire. We signed up for a 6-week nutritionist course with a nutritionist to try to figure out what we've been doing wrong all this time. We've tried intermittent fasting. We've tried maybe not strict keto, but, at least fairly keto dieting and things like that. And of course, diets don't work long term, usually because you're trying to take something out or you're trying to do something too aggressively. So we're going to see about this, but it does involve a lot of meal prep, and we're taking it as a 6-week education course. And try to, get a little healthier that way. We kind of just trying to see if we can get a little healthier, shed a few pounds, and kind of get back to where we used to be. So we'll see how that goes. But it does, all the meal prep kind of does take up more time in the afternoons and evenings than I had originally thought. I'm getting a little better at that now, though, as far as planning ahead and thinking ahead and preparing ahead. So anyway, that's not what you clicked on this link for. So, saw The Gray Man, and really, really liked this movie. Now, I know I've seen, some overview reviews. I have not read a lot of reviews, and I've not watched any reviews because I don't want it to taint how I feel about the movie. And I don't know if I'm classically going to call what I'm doing a review, but I'm going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't. But I do see some, and it's weird. I've seen both ends of the spectrum here, and love it, hate it, meh, in the middle type, just okay, fine. So I would have to say I'm probably somewhere between middling and really liked it a lot. I mean, it's not the greatest action movie I've ever seen, but it's pretty fun. Can I nitpick? Yeah. Will I? Yeah, I will. Right here. So, I really like the movie, though. Overall, I really do like its humor. It has a lot of banter, and this movie does not... It reminds me a little of the John Wick type of movies, and I'm not saying in the sense of the choreography or any of that stuff. There's some of it there, sure. John Wick has inspired a lot of choreography that's going on these days, but more of it is reality, but just a little extra. And that's the way I kind of felt about the movie from early on. Whereas, I've talked about the Mission Impossible movies before a little bit, especially comparing them to the Fast and Furious movies and how different they are. This movie sets out to entertain you, to take you on a fun ride. That's really what its goal is. Everybody's, I've seen some people like, well, I don't even understand the purpose of the movie was. I don't even understand the point was. And, some people don't even know it's adapted from a book of the same name called The Gray Man. I apologize profusely. The author's name escapes me at the moment. I'm driving, so it's probably not safe for me to look it up. But I don't know about the book. I don't know how accurate this is to the book. So I can only talk about the movie as it is, as opposed to whatever the book was. This movie seemed to tell me very, very quickly, very early, I got the very distinct impression this movie was going to be a little more fun than it was serious. It doesn't mean it doesn't have its serious moments or heavier moments emotionally, but it felt like it wanted to make sure that you were entertained. You were going to go on a ride. We're going to go on a ride, and the conductor's telling you it's going to have its ups and downs, its twists and turns, but overall, we're trying to have a good time, so don't worry. Nobody's going to get thrown out of the train or whatever, if I'm sticking to my train conductor analogy for some reason. So, in that sense, I really like this movie. I think Ryan Gosling does a phenomenal job, considering he's never been in a super high-end action type movie before with an extraordinary amount of physical work to do. I'm not saying he's never done any before, but this one definitely, he was working hard, at least for all the times he was definitely on screen, as opposed to a stunt double. If there were stunt doubles, and I'm sure that there were at times, if there were stunt doubles for him and Chris Evans, it was not obvious. They did a very good job of hiding the stunt double. Now, I only watched it once. I haven't went back through and watched it 12 times and hit pause on every scene to check. But in the basic viewing, it looks good. In the first initial, snap judgment viewing, it looks really good. It's pretty polished. Chris Evans does a really good job of being someone you just absolutely hate. You hate this character. He nails that. There's some things about Chris Evans that, you may or may not like him, personal views and things like that. But, it's different, if there's an actor I know that I already don't like that actor because they say this or that or the other or whatever. No, this is straight up, his performance is the reason why you hate this character. And it's done extremely well. He's absolutely repulsive, and that's the point. That's played to a T perfectly. You can tell he must have had good direction, good script material to work with, because he really took it and made it something other than a cookie cutter villain. Much, a lot more to it in that regard. There's other characters in here. Billy Bob Thornton is good as the kind of the mentor to Ryan Gosling's Sierra 6. He's from the Sierra program, so he's Sierra 6 is his code name. And that's really all you ever hear about him. I don't think if it's there, I think they basically mention his name. They might mention his actual, quote unquote birth name in the very, very beginning of the movie, and that is it. Other than that, the only thing I came away from was his name is Six, which is, I think, trying to drive that home. That's like his new, real identity as a human being, that he's really taken that identity. So it's a really good movie. Ana de Armas is in it as well as a CIA operative. She's really good in this. She does a good amount of her own legwork as far as the stunts go, the heavy lifting there. I mean, they don't hide her off the screen. They don't all of a sudden she's in a hoodie where they can hide her with a stunt double or anything like that. She's in a lot of it. And that tracks pretty well with what she did in No Time to Die. And again, as usual, she's stunning not only in the action sequences, but she's also really, really good in the regular acting sequences, the talking. Now, this is not the deepest script in the world, so if you're looking for something that really, really hits home for a broad swath of people, probably not. But it does. There's enough emotional heft thrown into the script to make it have some weight. Make the scenes that are supposed to have some weight, make them work. So that's really done well. The hand-to-hand fight choreography is pretty good. There's a little bit more cut than I would prefer, but if you like the kind of action you saw in Captain America: Winter Soldier and Civil War, maybe I didn't notice as much in Infinity War and Endgame. But the two second and third Captain America movies, if you like the kind of action you saw in there, which was pretty good, then you're going to feel right at home with this as far as style. I wish they would focus on longer takes like John Wick and other movies kind of following along with that. The Raid films, The Raid Redemption and The Raid 2. Don't ask me why the first one sounds like a sequel, but it's not. Those movies really started this thing of extremely long takes. John Wick has picked that up very well and done it in a way that makes it their own. This doesn't quite go there, but it does have its value. As far as I've seen far, far, far worse hand-to-hand action, martial arts choreography in movies. So, but overall, I really like this movie. The place that it does, the place where I do have some issues with it are in the CG. And I'm trying to stay relatively spoiler-free here. I don't feel the need to go into a big spoilery discussion and conversation. Now, if this turns into a franchise that's going to continue on, okay, cool, great. But right now, I just feel like I can talk about this movie pretty well without getting into spoilers, so I'm going to not have spoilers here. I do realize now that I didn't say that up front, there won't be any spoilers here. Going into, this movie, they talked about how it was a $200 million budget, blah, 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 blah. Well, I am here to tell you that the budget was probably mostly spent on the acting talent because there is no shortage of good acting talent here. Billy Bob Thornton, Rege-Jean Page, Ana de Armas, Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, Jessica Henwick is in here, and I cannot place it right now, and of course I'm driving, so I can't look. There's another. She was in the Avengers movies too. Well, she was in Civil War. She was the mom of the kid that got killed in Sokovia and blamed Iron Man for it, like confronted him in the beginning of Civil War. And I cannot remember her name for the life of me, and I'm probably going to think about it 12 minutes after I'm done recording this, and it's going to drive me nuts. But anyway, she's in it. She's an excellent actress as well. And so this is just one of those good, fun movies. But when we're talking about the $200 million, yeah, I'm pretty sure a fair amount of it was put on the acting talent and the directors. And, of course, they did a lot of shooting on location. And that is, well, not cheap. So when you do that, that leaves a little less money to be thrown around in other areas. And CG is probably the area that does suffer a bit. Now, it's nothing horrible or heinous. I've seen far worse CG in movies that had far less excuses for bad CG. But there are a few sequences where, your believability is being stretched just a hair too far. It's starting to break a little bit. And a lot of action movies do this. Now, I will say Mission Impossible is probably the gold standard in riding that line without breaking it, or without blatantly crossing it. They do take it to the limit of believability, but they're smart enough never to actually 100% whole body cross the line. This movie does a couple times. It's not the worst, but like I said, this movie also felt like it was telling me up front, we're going to go on a fun ride. You're going to have a good time here. And so I guess I didn't feel like I internally in my brain dinged it as bad for that. There's a train sequence where, near the climax of it, there's a kind of hard to believe rescue scenario that happens for Ryan Gosling's character. Just thinking there'd be a lot more damage to a human body after that. And then, we have the airplane sequence that, of course, the airplane thing does not go well. And, there's only one parachute left and one of the other guys left with it. So you have to jump out and go after him and go catch him in the air. So, is it possible to do it? Yes, it's possible. Is it likely? No, it's not likely. It's really not likely. It's like if you did that and you survived, you should also go play the lottery right now. Your luck has never been higher. So, but no, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. I think that's what I would say if you go into it with that understanding and you are going in with the intent, I want to have a good, fun action movie that has just enough thought that doesn't make me feel dumb. It's not a totally dumb movie, but I wouldn't say it's not like Mission Impossible 1 where it is super, super high-end, intellectual, who did what, try to keep track of all these things going on over here because all these plot threads are going to play out later. It's not like that. It's a little more direct. And but it's got enough heart to also to make it not just a cheap throwaway, shoot 'em up, run and gun, punch up type movie. It's got enough heart to make you feel something for the characters, at least the ones you should feel something for. And that's I think that's one of probably its saving grace. And that ranks it up a little higher for me. So I don't know if people really care about grading scales or whatever, but I would give this, I'll say a solid 7.5 out of 10. I mean, it's just a good, fun movie with enough heart to make it worthwhile. It's rewatchable. Ryan Gosling has just enough humor to where it doesn't feel like, okay, we're all in on the joke. Okay, this movie is a joke and nobody's taking it seriously. No, there's just enough humor, and you can almost tell his humor is almost used as there's enough pain in his backstory, and when you watch the movie, you'll understand better. There's enough shown there to show the real pain in his upbringing and his backstory that it's almost like he probably used the humor, because a lot of the humor is very dark, very dry delivery, quippy, sarcastic humor. And it really does help to kind of show someone who's probably got a lot of really unresolved stuff and uses humor to kind of deflect and to get around that, kind of using the mental trick of humor, the psychological trick of humor to get around that. So I'd say about a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a really good movie. I think it's very fun and enjoyable. It's PG-13, and it's a fairly tame PG-13, so we were able to watch it as a family night, considering I have 2 teenagers already. And we all had generally a pretty good time at it, although the daughter, she fell asleep, but she was pretty tired anyway. But it was a good, enjoyable movie. I don't know that I'd say it's quote unquote wholesome, but there's none of the standard things that would normally make you say, "Ooh, I can't let my kids watch that." There's some language, but other than that, most of what's in there is fairly tame. And I don't know, take into account the fact that I grew up watching horror movies like, Nightmare on Elm Street and Jason movies and stuff when I was probably way too young. So maybe that says a lot too. It says a lot of what's wrong with me. Anyway, that'll about do it for this one. Please, if you like what you're hearing, please share it in however way. Share the video on YouTube or Rumble. Share it on Facebook. Like it. And please comment. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm trying to make some changes. I'm planning on I think I'm going to try to redo the intro music, because what I used to like about it, I don't like anymore. Now it feels limiting. The music I liked, but it doesn't lend itself to being cut down to like a 15 or 20 second or even 30 second cut. It really is difficult to do that. So I'm probably going to be looking for some new music, and I'm going to try to come up with some like a quick little video like animation, intro animation thing, because if I go to video, I'll need that. So I'll be doing some things here and there with it. But over the year, I plan to continue to try to tweak what I'm doing, the format, the layout, and everything else. But I'd love to hear your feedback. Let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. Until next time, take care and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. The Way of the Dad podcast is produced and recorded by, well, me, a stunningly average husband and father, who appreciates all of the likes, shares, reviews, and support you give. If you would like to reach out, you can find the podcast on its Facebook page, and of course you can email me at wayofthedadpodcast@gmail.com. Come back next time as we continue to fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness.